Hey, Bob Gardner here from thebraidedwarrior.com, and I'm here today to tell you why. This happened a little bit ago. Several months ago, I was teaching a kung fu class. I was downstairs. I was in the thick of things, and going through my day, like just teaching, like having a good time and whatnot. And then my wife tears down the stairs because we were doing it in a basement at the time, holding my fourth son. Okay, she's holding him in her arms, and she looks terrified. And so I don't know what's going on. Like, there's just massive people that have come down the stairs, and there's definitely a feeling that has come into the room. And so I'm teaching class, and I'm like stuck between two places. And I'm like, I'm not sure what's going on, but it's my wife, and I need to stop. And so I grab one of my black belts, and I stick him in charge. I'm like, hey, just run things for a second. Let me see what's going on. And fortunately, I had very, very, very competent students who could run the class because it was just a beginner's class at that point in time. And so I walk over to the stairs, and I'm just trying to stay calm because, like, it doesn't really help if I panic if I don't know what's going on. And she's like, look at Noah, look what happened. He was standing on top of the table, and he fell, and he landed head first on the tile floor. And so I looked down at his face, and there's my son, and there, bumped off of his head, about like an inch off of his head, is a massive welt. It's nighttime, urgent care is closed, because urgent care is always closed when things happen, when you're a parent. And so, like, I'm sitting here going, like, I don't know what to do. I mean, like, I knew what to do at the time, but I'm sitting here like, okay, well, what would you have me do? And she's like, can you just, like, I was going to take him to the ER, but I just thought of you first. And so I just want to see if you can help him out. Now, why would she come and do that? Because over the years prior, I had been training and studying and learning about healing arts, right? See, now, because before that, I had been standing in a very similar kung fu studio that I had owned and ran, and I was in the front of the class, and a couple of my black belts had been practicing some things, and one of them hit his head hard on the concrete floor and got what looked like a massive concussion. I don't know. I thought his skull had fractured, and I remember standing there, panicked. The rest of the class was looking at me, and all I had was an ice pack, and so I like grabbed an ice pack, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And the feeling of uncertainty, and like I felt cold on the inside, and I felt panicking. I felt small, like the situation was too big for me. And that's what led me on that journey. So fast forward a few years, there I am standing in the room, and my wife comes down the stairs, and she's terrified. And of course I feel bad and empathy and sympathy for my son, who had fallen off the table and landed on his head. I can't imagine what that would have looked like to my wife, who had seen his head pop back and heard him scream, except that my son, this one, when he gets injured, he shuts up. He doesn't say anything. So there he was, like a limp rag doll in my wife's arms. His eyes were kind of unfocused and dilated. And I'm, as a father, like, oh crap, I need to end class. Okay, well, let me go sit with him. So there was a couch just right there. So I just grabbed him and I sat down, and I put my hand kind of near the spot that was injured, but not on top of it because I didn't want to hurt it anymore. We didn't know if anything bad had happened. And I did everything that I had learned. And I listened, and I felt, and all kinds of interesting sort of feelings and sensations started coming out of my son. And about 15 minutes later, his eyes popped back into focus, and he sat up, and this thing that was like popping out of his head literally an inch had reduced in size down to like just a little bitty bump. And that was it, in like 15 minutes. Now, I don't know how fast those things typically heal. I don't know what the clinical science is associated with that, but I'll tell you this much. There is a dramatic, like the thing that I learned is that there is a dramatic difference between a dad who doesn't know what to do and is full of uncertainty and panic and fear, and one who does have skills and tools in his belt to handle situations. You see, now my wife comes to me. Now my kids come to me when they're in pain. And I don't always have the answer, but I don't panic anymore. If I don't have an answer, we go find one. We go to the ER if we need to. And so, but that shift, that capacity to be certain and to be okay and to handle stuff that I didn't expect, stuff that is like massive and huge and terrifying to deal with as a dad, especially for me who was a little bit squeamish, like to be able to stand there and deal with that was such a powerful experience for me. And it all came because I'd had another experience and decided to do something about it. And decided to learn what I'd wanted to learn for a long time. But like it took that experience to push me over the edge to learn it, and that became a huge gift for my family. And we'll have some video. My wife wants to talk a little bit about how that's shifted as a father. And so, like, as I conclude this, like, the thing that I understand is every father needs to understand healing work. And right now, yes, I'm into like massage-based body work or energy healing or some of the stuff that I've learned and I've studied. But even if you get paramedic training or first aid training or CPR training, like some kind of training that puts you in a place of power so that panic doesn't take over. Every father needs to train healing work. Not because you're necessarily going to use it, but because it will enable you to address a situation differently and stand in a place of power when even your wife and your kids are panicking. And that power gives them certainty, and the situation can resolve itself a lot better.